The diagnosis came 3 months before the hospital gala. Stage 3 lymphoma. I was 28, a data analyst at a tech startup, and when I called Mom to tell her, she barely paused her conversation with my sister Melissa. Lymphoma? That's very treatable, Emma. It's not like you have something serious. Her voice carried that familiar dismissive tone. Melissa is planning her engagement party for next month. You'll be recovered by then, right? My sister was a surgical resident at Metro General, the same hospital where Mom had been head nurse in cardiology for 15 years. Everything in our family revolved around Melissa's medical career and Mom's standing in the hospital community. Mom, at stage 3. I start chemo next week. Well, don't be so negative. My friend Linda's cousin had cancer and barely missed any work. You young people are so dramatic about health issues. The chemo started the following Tuesday. By week 2 I could barely keep water down. When I called Mom for help getting to my appointment, she sighed heavily. Emma, I have Melissa's bridal shower planning committee. Can't you take an Uber? You're being overdramatic. It's just some checkups and 4 fluids. My coworker Jessica drove me instead. She stayed for 6 hours while they pumped poison into my veins, brought me crackers when I vomited, helped me to her car when my legs shook. At Melissa's engagement party 2 weeks later, I sat in the corner wearing the wig Mom insisted on, weak from my second chemo cycle. Mom worked the room, introducing Melissa to every doctor and administrator she knew. When colleagues asked about me, Mom waved a hand. Oh, Emma's fine. Just dealing with some minor health things. Nothing serious. You know how young people make such a fuss over routine doctor visits. I watched my mother rewrite my cancer into an inconvenient cold. The next day I collapsed in my apartment. Jessica found me and called 911. The ER doctor admitted me for severe dehydration and chemo complications. Mom arrived 3 hours later, still in her scrubs. Really, Emma? You couldn't manage your own hydration? I had to leave in the middle of a staff meeting. The nurse adjusting my IV looked between us, her expression carefully neutral. Dr. Sarah Morrison, my oncologist, came by that evening. She was maybe 40, with kind eyes that had seen too much suffering. Emma, I need to ask you something. Do you have adequate support at home? The tears came before I could stop them. I told her everything. The dismissals, Mom calling my cancer minor tests, how my sister's engagement party took precedence over my treatment, how I'd taken Ubers to chemo because my family was too busy. Dr. Morrison's expression hardened. Your mother works at Metro General? She's the head nurse in cardiology. Has been for 15 years. The hospital gala is next month. Something flickered across Dr. Morrison's face. Emma, would you give me permission to speak candidly about your case if the situation arises? I nodded, not understanding what she meant. The hospital gala fell on a Friday night 6 weeks later. Jessica convinced me to go, and I wore the dress I'd bought before the diagnosis, acutely aware of how differently it hung on my thinner frame. The ballroom glittered with Chicago's medical elite. Mom held court near the bar in a navy gown, Melissa beside her in emerald green, her engagement ring catching the light. Mom's eyes landed on me across the room. Her smile froze. She whispered something to Melissa, who turned to stare. I lifted my chin and found my table with Jessica and my coworkers. After dinner the speeches began. The CEO spoke about cancer treatment advancements. Then Dr. Sarah Morrison took the podium. I want to talk about what it means to support cancer patients, she began. Not just medically but holistically. Because cancer reveals the true nature of our support systems. The room quieted. I have a patient, 28 years old. Stage 3 lymphoma. When she was diagnosed, she called her family for support. Dr. Morrison's voice carried clearly. Her mother told her she was being dramatic. Called her cancer treatment, minor tests and routine checkups. This patient took Ubers to chemotherapy because her family was too busy planning her sister's engagement party. I heard a chair scrape. Mom was staring at the podium, her face pale. Some of you might wonder why I'm sharing this, Dr. Morrison continued. Because that patient is here tonight. And her mother, a head nurse at this very hospital, is also here. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Heads turned. Medical professionals take an oath to do no harm. But what does it mean when we provide compassionate care to strangers while abandoning our own family members? Dr. Morrison's eyes found mine. Emma Patterson has shown more grace and strength than many patients I've seen in 20 years of oncology. She's done it largely alone, because her family deemed her cancer less important than wedding planning. I heard Mom make a small choked sound. The Metro General Medical Board will be reviewing a case next week, Dr. Morrison said coldly. A case of potential medical negligence and ethical violations by a senior staff member who demonstrated a fundamental lack of understanding of cancer treatment protocols. The chief of surgery stood from his table. Dr. Richard Chin, Melissa's future father-in-law. Dr. Morrison, are you saying a member of my hospital's nursing staff minimized a stage 3 lymphoma diagnosis as minor tests? I'm saying exactly that, Dr. Chin. I have documentation of multiple incidents where this staff member failed to provide basic support during life-threatening treatment, referred to chemotherapy as routine appointments, and suggested her daughter was being overdramatic about complications that resulted in emergency hospitalization. Dr. Chen's face flushed red. What is the staff member's name? Dr. Morrison looked directly at my mother. I believe she can identify herself. Every head turned toward Mom's table. She sat frozen, gripping the tablecloth. Melissa stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. My mother is an excellent nurse. Sit down, Melissa. Dr. Chen's voice cut through his future daughter-in-law's protest. Dr. Morrison continued. As medical professionals, we understand that cancer treatment requires a support system. Family abandonment isn't just cruel, it's dangerous. It leads to worse outcomes and severe psychological trauma. She paused. I'm recommending a full review of this staff member's fitness to continue inpatient care. If a nurse cannot recognize the severity of stage 3 cancer in her own daughter, can we trust her judgment with our patients? The room erupted. Dr. Chin gestured to another administrator. Hospital board members huddled in urgent conversation. Mom stood on shaking legs and fled toward the exit. Melissa chased after her, shooting me a look of pure hatred. Dr. Morrison walked to my table. Emma, are you okay with what just happened? I looked up at her, this fierce advocate who'd fought for me when my own family wouldn't. Yes. Thank you. The rest of the evening, medical professionals approached my table, expressing concern, offering support. Dr. Chin stopped by, his expression grave. Miss Patterson, I owe you an apology. The medical board will be conducting a thorough review. And I'll be having a serious conversation with my son about his choice of family connections. Mom called at 6 a.m. the next morning, her voice shrill with panic. Emma, you have to fix this. The hospital board wants to meet with me Monday. Dr. Chin called. Melissa's engagement might be off. How could you embarrass me like this? Mom, I have cancer. I almost died because I had no support. You told people my cancer was minor tests. You're being overdramatic. Dr. Morrison has documentation. Hospital records. Notes about family abandonment. Silence. You need to call her. Tell her you exaggerated. No. Emma, please. My job is at stake. You should have thought about that before you chose an engagement party over your daughter's chemotherapy. I hung up and blocked the number. The medical board review happened the following week. Mom was placed on administrative leave. Several nurses came forward with concerns about her patient care. Small things they'd overlooked before, now viewed through the lens of someone who couldn't recognize cancer severity in her own daughter. Melissa's engagement ended 3 weeks later. Dr. Chen's son broke it off under pressure from his father. Melissa blamed me in vicious texts before I blocked her too. The hospital didn't fire Mom, but removed her from her head nurse position, transferred her to administrative duties with no patient contact, and required extensive ethics training. Word spread through Chicago's medical community. I finished chemotherapy in October. The cancer went into remission in December. Throughout it all, my coworkers surrounded me with support my family never had. 6 months after the gala, I ran into Mom at the grocery store. She looked smaller somehow. Emma, you look well. I'm in remission. That's good. She gripped her shopping cart. I wanted to say, I don't need an apology that only came because you faced consequences. I needed a mother when I had cancer. You chose your image over your daughter's life. I lost everything. So did I, Mom. I lost my family when I needed them most. The difference is I built a new one. I walked away, leaving her finally understanding the weight of her choices. A year later, I celebrated my remission anniversary with Jessica and my coworkers. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Morrison. 1 year down. Proud of you. How are you feeling? I looked around the table at the people who'd carried me through the darkest period of my life. I'm feeling grateful, I typed back. For the first time, I'm surrounded by people who actually see me. The medical board sent me a letter 3 months later. Mom had been formally reprimanded, her case used in hospital ethics training as an example of how personal biases can compromise medical judgment. They'd updated their family support protocols for cancer patients based on Dr. Morrison's recommendations, citing my case specifically. My suffering had changed policy. My mother's cruelty had exposed dangerous gaps in the system. Dr. Morrison invited me to speak at a patient advocacy conference that spring. I stood before 200 medical professionals and told my story, not for revenge but so other patients wouldn't face what I had. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Mom tried reaching out once more through Dad. He left a voicemail. She's in therapy now. She says she understands what she did wrong. I deleted it without responding. Understanding didn't erase the nights I'd spent alone and terrified, wondering if I'd die because I had no one to call for help. Therapy didn't rewind time to give me the mother I'd needed during the hardest battle of my life. Jessica became my emergency contact. My coworkers became my family. And I learned that sometimes the people who share your blood care the least, while strangers become the ones who save your life. 2 years in remission now, and I've never been healthier or happier. Not because the cancer left, but because the toxic family did too.